Okay. Hi there, Brian.
Hello, good afternoon, Eddie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Probably a lot better than you. How's the legs holding up?
Well, they seem to keep, I get something wrong with one leg and you sort of patch it up, you strap it up, and then it flips over to the other side. And so I keep swapping little problems. So, and there's a nail on the left foot trying to flip up and disappear. Was that like, because I mean, you did 7 operational tours. Did you find in the forces that if you're doing things, long and strenuous things, that problems will keep swapping around if you keep going, being endurance?
Yeah, I think we tend to overcompensate, don't we? We just try and keep going and strapping things up.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I've probably been quite lucky in the past with my feet, because I joined quite young at the age of 17. Um, my feet get probably toughened up quite early in my infantry days, early on. So I only ever had to wear one pair of socks,
Yeah.
instead of people that wear two. And I've got fat feet, so
Oh,
they
really?
filled the boots quite well.
Is that what you call? Is that what the doctors got? Do you mean wide feet, or do you actually mean fat feet?
Yes, I was being flippant. I've got wide feet, so size 10s to carry 17 stone, 3 pound.
Wow.
But yeah, the boots seem to do the job.
Very good. Yes, I have wide feet. I have duck feet, I call them. You call them fat feet. I call mine.
Quacking. That's absolutely quacking.
Yes, exactly. So now you're a volunteer with Walking with the Wounded. Is that right?
That's correct, Eddie. Yes.
So we now, people who've been listening to my daily podcast going out, they know that we're highlighting Walking with the Wounded as one of our 5 major charities. It's great. So they were very helpful with you. It seems from what I've been reading about you, is that they helped you, and then they've helped you get into a better place in your life afterwards. So, yeah, take us through your story with your relationship with Walking with the Wounded.
It'll be my pleasure. Yes. I think I'll start at the start.
Yeah.
I kind of stumbled across them by accident, so to speak, and I got the help from them probably when I needed it the most, and it was via um, after therapy and going through employment advisors, and after treatment and after counselling, you kind of get back on your feet. And I was lucky enough to get back into employment via Walking with the Wounded with one of their advisors. And the help that I received was absolutely first class. It was platinum. It was second to none. And without their help, to be honest, Eddie, I probably wouldn't be back in the land of the living today. I can't even quantify or put into words how thankful I am to the charity for that.
Now, because you went through so many operational tours, you got post-traumatic stress disorder coming out, PTSD, but it says complex PTSD. Is that an even worse version of PTSD?
Yeah, yes, I suppose it was. I think because there was so many things that presented when I asked for help. And to be honest, that was probably the hardest step, acknowledging that help was required. And I'm proud of myself because it was quite a brave step because of the stigma attached to, mental health and asking for help.
Yeah.
But because I presented so many issues or so many problems that were attached to traumas, that's why it became quite complex and probably a little bit longer to therapise, to counsel, and then to treat, really.
Right. So, but they helped you with that. So, yeah, I would salute you for coming out because mental health. Well, as you know, I came out as trans, 35 years ago, and that was tricky enough. But mental health, anything to do with mental health, you can just hear people even now going, "I'm not going to talk about this. I'm not going to be open about it." But you did. So, I think that is brave of what you did. So I salute you for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's got you. So how many years were you in the forces?
So I done 26 years in 1 month, Eddie. I joined at 17 and left at the ripe old age of 44.
Wow. Now that is huge. That is, and you must have been. I would assume that that's a rarity. Most people would leave earlier than that. Were you a rare?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. I mean, most people would do 22, but I done a couple of projects, and that's why the time kept ticking over.
But your time in the forces, even though you went through such traumas, did it suit you? You generally felt it suited you, or did you just think, well, this is what I do. I'm going to stay here because this is what I do?
I probably kind of was very good at painting the kind of smiling face on,
Right.
despite the demons coming to visit you, you know.
Yep.
And it's maybe a good analogy would be the physical aspect, you know. If we find a kind of niggling injury, we kind of, as you said, strap it up and crack on. And I think it's the same with the mind. You know, the brain's such a complex, complicated beast and creature. And I knew something wasn't quite right, but I was too scared to maybe ask for help or admit that, to be perceived as a kind of weakness, if you like.
Yeah. Now, what I'm interested in is anyone else listening who's in this is particularly the UK, but they may have, if they're listening around the world, because there will be sister organizations like Walking with the Wounded in other countries. How did you contact them? Take us through that bit, just of contacting them, because you said it's brave. You have to get up and put your hand up and say, look, I've got a problem here. How did you do that? Because I know there's an NHS link as well in the UK. But did you do it via NHS?
Yeah.
Or straight in?
Yes. So I was being treated, but you know, by the NHS as well, and I was kind of signposted to the charity. So that's how I managed to get the first contact with Walking with the Wounded, via signposting after the NHS treatment. And you know, I can't remember if it was a phone call or an email. I think it was probably an email first and then a phone call to get the ball rolling. So that's how the first contact was established.
Right. And that...
Sorry for the noise in the background, it's the dog.
Oh, right, I was wondering who it was. What's the dog's name?
The dog's name's Akira.
Akira. Hello, Akira. Akira, we're doing something for Walking with the Wounded, and can you donate, Akira? Do you have any disposable dog biscuits that you could... Akira's not bothered. I find this with dogs. I can never get them to donate. But it looks amazing dog. What kind of dog is Akira?
She is an Alusky, so she's half Alaskan Malamute, half Siberian Husky.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, do you know this thing about the mongrel dogs? And the Nazis used to talk about the purity of the thing. It's all rubbish because we know that's inbreeding. And any of the dogs that we call mongrel, which, as you know, is a negative word. They say, oh, mongrel, but in fact, they are the strong dogs. Any dogs, any human as well. It's the strength of the blend of your genes that makes you strong.
Absolutely.
So it's a bit weird that they had a whole thing back in the 30s, a world war about rubbish. Oh, God, that is a bit weird. Now, so you've gained employment coming out as a sales manager, is that right? And that was with the help of Walking with the Wounded?
Yes, that's correct, Eddie. I was a sales manager for a local company in Colchester, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I was made redundant in August. But the good news is I found further employment in December this year and started a new job 2 weeks ago.
Excellent. Well, congratulations to you. Now, we like these stories. This is stories making humanity great again, and you're doing it yourself. I like the fact that, yes, a negative and then straight out and back in. And excellent. I feel very good about that. It's your success. But also, I'm reading something else here, that you're a team member of Walking with the Wounded, the Walk of Oman. Now, I was born in Yemen, just next to Oman. So tell us about that walk.
So the walk itself, it was due to go ahead on the 20th of November last year.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because of the obvious, it was postponed. It was due to finish on the 11th of December, Omani Armed Forces Day. But unfortunately, it was cancelled because of coronavirus, COVID-19.
Yeah.
So the six of us were planning on doing just a wee walk, a short trek across the Omani Desert. It's only 400 kilometres.
Wow.
You know, and being of strawberry blonde persuasion, I might have even get some freckles or a suntan.
Yeah.
But
You want a good hat.
But pardon, say again.
You'll want a good hat.
A good hat is a must, yes, with a nape protector.
Yes.
And Factor 50 sun cream.
Well,
so we would have been...
I'm so sorry, I'm interrupting you. I have the similar complexion to you, even though I've got this blonde hair, but that's out of a bottle. I'm actually a redhead, and freckles, and I burn very, very easily, so I'm totally with you on that. But yeah, do carry on.
Yeah.
I'm interested in it because it's the country right
So,
next to where I was born.
yeah, yeah, we would have been starting off our 400-kilometre trek in Durham in Oman and finishing, 3 weeks later, having covered 400 kilometres, man hauling a trolley with our kit on it,
Yeah.
probably about 3 times, your average body weight. So, yeah, that would have certainly got the perspiration flowing. So the distance sounds quite a lot, 400 kilometres, but with 3 weeks to do it, and I think probably one of the biggest challenges with that would have been, the weather itself, the climate.
Yes. Yes, I've run in South Africa, so that's not quite. Well, I went back to Aden, the city where I was born, in 2008, and in January it was extremely bloody hot. That must have been mid-30s. So, do you know how hot it would be? Did you have temperature readings of how hot it was going to be?
Yes, so the temperature would have been hitting at least 35 degrees. Wow. 35 degrees. I mean, I've done Iraq before and Afghanistan a couple of times. So I think, self-discipline would kick in when it comes to water discipline and obviously trying to preserve energy.
Yeah.
And I think the Omanis think that we're crazy, want to do that sort of trek in that heat. But, it depends on your actual routine. Get up a couple of hours before first light, get some kilometres under the legs, rest up, get a bit of shade during the day, maybe have a bit of rest, and then crack on for the second part before sundown. So I think it's all about sunshine management.
Yep, sunshine management. I would in South Africa, I would take a rest in the hottest part of the day because it's only mad dogs and Englishmen, and not Scots. They go out in the midday sun. But so now was that a one-off? Who came up with the Walk of Oman? Is it something that they came up in Oman, or something that you guys set up?
Yeah, I think the credit would probably go to the Chief Executive Officer, Ed Parker, and the project manager, Guy Ritson. I think clearly we wanted a desert to go to, somewhere warm, and the Omanis have got one, so it seemed like the perfect plan at the time.
Right, and that's the Chief Executive at Walking with the Wounded?
Yes.
Yeah. And the Omanis, were they going to help you? Was it just going to be British ex-forces guys doing it, Walking with the Wounded guys, or would you have Omani forces guys with you, helping guide you, or how was that going to work?
Yes, we were going to have the team of 6 veterans from the UK. Sorry, I should say 5 plus 1 still serving. But right. The team's increased to 7 now. So we've got 6 veterans and 1 still serving. Magnificent 7. And we would have had 2 representatives from the Omani Armed Forces joining us for the trek.
Excellent. And they would help as guides, or they just wanted to come along anyway?
Purely for, good relations and joining the team for positive relations in that sense.
Yeah, and they should know how that works. Well, that's excellent. And what area of the country are you in at the moment in lockdown? I'm currently in, you could probably guess from the accent, I'm in Essex, Colchester. Yes, well, I thought this. You sounded very Essex, Colchester. You sounded like Boudica, Boadicea country. And
yes, exactly.
Yes, exactly. I always thought she sounded better as Boadicea than Boudica, but anyway, maybe we'll get...
I prefer Boadicea, Eddie,
yeah,
Boadicea.
It just sounds great, but Boudica just sounds... Who's called Boo? Well, anyway, it doesn't sound like the warrior woman that she was. But how is it where you are? Take it you're on the same lockdown as we are in London. How are you getting on? The COVID situation, are people getting through it?
Yes, I mean, I'm sticking to the training plan, Eddie. I'm out 6 days a week, boots on, pack on the back,
yeah.
Covering the kilometres, keeping the training going.
Yeah.
Again, that's great for the mental health and well-being,
Yeah.
Getting the fresh air into the lungs, but obviously keeping safe, keeping the distance, keeping the space and wearing the mask. But same lockdown, so what can you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Brian. Great to talk to you, and thank you for going through it and serving. I wanted to be in the forces when I was a kid, and I didn't do it. And I did this instead, all this performing that I couldn't quite put the two together, how I do one and the other, but I was going to do officer cadetship and go to university and then go on to do officer training, but I didn't. And anyway, so I've been trying to do selection. This is me doing selection. all the crazy things is me doing selection for the civilian version of Special Forces or whatever, I don't know. So anyway, thank you for doing that. And well done. Yeah, I do appreciate. I know how hard it is to put your hand up and say, "Come on, I've got to change the situation in your mental health." So well done to you, and more power to you. Keep doing that, and great luck and fortune in the Walk of Oman as well when you do it.
Thank you very much, Eddie, and thank you for your time. And hopefully your legs and your feet will hold up for the rest of your marathons.
I insist that they will. I just keep strapping them up. Take care.
Good stuff. Excellent.
Cheers, Brian.
Cheers, Eddie.